title, You Are on Heaven's Most Wanted List. Yes, you heard it correctly. You are on Heaven's Most Wanted List. I found the title for this message on a church sign in Palm Springs. When I first saw it, I wasn't sure I had read it correctly, so I backed up my truck and read it again. These are definitely words that will make you think. You are on Heaven's Most Wanted List. For those of the Christian faith, I would assume that they would understand this to mean that heaven is calling them. However, based on Christian theology, the only way to heed the call is to die to this life. It would be interesting to know what the members of this church's congregation search thoughts were after reading this. It caused me to think, now fortunately for those of us who see life through the prism of spirituality, these words take on a very different meaning than those of the Christian faith, especially the word heaven. It is not that we don't believe in a life beyond this individual life, but we don't see the next life in the same way. In the teachings of the Mastermind Jesus, we will find that what he was teaching is a contradiction of what most Christians teach and believe about heaven. He said, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. In other words, we don't have to exit planet Earth or die to this life to experience what is considered to be heaven. In reality, heaven is not a place, but a state of mind, and so is hell. We can either think of our life as being one where we're on the cusp of realizing all the good hopes and desires of our heart, or we can be miserable and wallow in self-pity and find ourselves in hell. It all comes back to our state of mind. Our state of mind creates our state of beingness in the world in which we live. Now let's take a look at these words from the book 3 Magic Words by Ewell S. Anderson. It's titled 3 Magic Words, and the author is Ewell S. Anderson. This book was written in 1957, I think it was. The kingdom of heaven, he writes, is the center of consciousness. The kingdom of heaven is the place of utter calm and serenity within the depths of your soul, where you become fused with the immortal eye of all creation. So that individual eye becomes fused with the immortal eye of all creation. In other words, that I am. I am that great I am, as the great Moses said. It is the place where you no longer are the doer, but instead become fused with the observer, the great contemplator, at the place where there is naught for you to do, but choose and accept, where whatever it is so chosen and so accepted becomes manifest in the physical world about you. Now, I do admit that these are high-minded words, but they are the truth nonetheless. As the Mastermind Jesus and all the great mystical teachers affirmed, these things I do and greater things still shall you do. And why is that? Why would he say that? Why? Because we have had the consciousness of powerful teachers like Jesus and Isaiah, all these great teachers, Plato, Emerson, Paramahansa, Yogananda, all these great teachers, Buddha, all these great teachers, Krishna, all of them have permeated the truth into the collective consciousness, and therefore we shall not find a level of mental obstruction to believing these words to be truth as those who came to these words before us. Let us never lose sight of what Jesus said. These things I do, and greater things still shall you do. Greater things, greater things. He said if we had faith the size of a mustard seed, that we could move the mountain into the sea. But remember, he's not telling us to move mountains. He's just telling us to move all those feelings of being obstructed, those feelings of being blocked, those feelings of being imprisoned in something called illness or poverty, or dysfunctional relationships, whatever hellish nightmare we're living at any point in time, that we can have faith to move through whatever it is that we need to move through to enjoy this thing called life. let us not lose sight of the teaching attributed to Jesus that says, I of mine own self can do nothing. I of mine own self can do nothing. All of this thinking and hoping and wishing and affirming and meditating and contemplating will be a waste of our divine energy if we don't have an idea in mind of what our very own heaven looks like. We best not wait until we die to reach out to it in our mind, for in the next life we may very well have other things on our mind than what concerns us or excites us in this one. We don't know what that next life is going to be. So many people think that it's going to be like this. It's going to be an extension of this life. But was our previous life, this life, an extension of our previous life? How many people can truly remember a previous life? And we shouldn't remember. We're not here to remember what we were before, what we did before, how we believed before, how we felt before, how we lived before. None of that. We're here to live this thing called life that we've been gifted with in the here and now. In the here and now. But once again, all of this thinking and hoping and wishing and affirming and meditating and contemplating will be a waste of our divine energy if we don't have an idea in mind of what our very own heaven looks like. At this point, I want to remind everyone that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. What do you desire or hope for that has been in your thoughts persistently? Does it give you a sense of greater enthusiasm for life? Is it something that takes nothing away from anyone else or attempts to manipulate the free choices of another person? If you can answer these questions affirmatively, then you can see this desire, thing hoped for, made manifest. You know, every day I read these columnists in the newspaper. I read Ask Amy, who's a wonderful, wonderful, wise woman. I read Carolyn Hacks from the Washington Post. I read Dear Abby, and when I was growing up, my mother used to read Dear Abby and Ann Landers to us. It was columnists. And I read The Wisdom of Miss Manners. She's a very, very esteemed woman. 90% of the time, people who are having problems in their life have two things that are causing those problems. One is that they're depending on someone else for their happiness. That's the worst. It causes so much misery in people's lives to depend on someone else to make us happy. And the second thing is their expectations. Their expectations that somehow their life should be perfect. Somehow their life should be like those wonderful, wonderful movies that make us all feel good when we leave the theater. Or those wonderful, wonderful books that we can't put down because reading them makes us feel so good. Life will always have its ups and downs, no matter who we are. Everybody makes mistakes. There'll be people who say, well, Jesus was the perfect man, Jesus made mistakes. Jesus made mistakes. Remember when he told the woman that because she wasn't Jewish, he didn't have anything for her. How many people remember that? How many people realize that? How many people want to go look that up in your Holy Bible and find out that I'm right? I'm sure the Buddha made mistakes. It certainly looks like he ate a lot. Probably more than he needed to. Let's go back to the book, 3 Magic Words. Don't confuse what you seem to be with what you really are. So the real you, the indwelling self, and that self is spelled with a capital S, the observer in the depths of your soul, nothing, no thing, let me repeat, nothing, no thing is impossible. Give heed to this indwelling presence. Give this indwelling presence homage and respect and humility. Your body is its temple. When you surround it with evil and disease and want and lack and failure, would you? Would you surround it with those things? refuse to accept these limitations, they are illusions. The universe is bigger and all health and all abundance. What you choose to accept and think, you will see. What you seem to be is but the barest fraction of what you really are. What you seem to be is but the barest fraction of what you really are. Now, as my mind was focused on this message, I came across these words from Paramahansa Yogananda, and he wrote, self-realization is the knowing in all parts of body, mind, and soul that you are in possession of the kingdom of God, that you do not have to pray that it come to you, that God's omnipresence is your omnipresence, and that all that you need to do is improve your knowing. Now, is he telling us something very different? No. Jesus said the kingdom of God is within you, not low here or low there. He said the kingdom of God is within you, and the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Right here, right where we are. We just need to change our state of mind, our level of consciousness. Let ourselves become more conditioned towards the truth. Look at these words from this book, This Thing Called You, by the American mystic Ernest Holmes. This was gifted to me by Dr. Robbie Smith, as it was in Dr. O.C. Smith's library. He was my teacher and my mentor. In this book, he's highlighted so many things that he felt was very important for us to know and to understand. And he highlighted these words. And I read, you should become accustomed to the thought that you are a divine being. Everything is a part of one great whole. Everything in nature is an individualization of one coordinating life, one law of the being, and one presence. The mind has become so filled with that which contradicts this that even the truth has to await our recognition. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. When you open this doorway, the divine guest will come to you, and you will know that it is. You must learn to become consciously aware of the divine presence and the divine power, the wholeness of truth, of love, of reason, and of a sound mind. Instead of dwelling on negative thoughts, cause your mind to dwell on peace and joy. Know that the pieces of the invisible, know that the power of the invisible spirit is working in and through you now, at this very moment. Lay hold of this realization with complete certainty. Think about that, and think about these words from Paramahansa Yogananda and Jesus' words that the kingdom of God is within you. And let's look back at these words from Three Magic Words by Ewell Anderson. Don't confuse what you seem to be with what you really are. To the real you, the indwelling self, that is self spelled with a capital S, the observer in the depths of your soul, nothing is impossible. Give heed to this presence. Give this presence homage and respect and humility. Your body is its temple. When you surround it with evil and disease and want and lack and failure, would you? Refuse to accept these limitations. They are illusions. The universe is bigger and all health and all abundance. What you choose to accept and think, you will see. What you seem to be is but the barest fraction of what you really are. The barest fraction of what you really are. Just imagine what it would be like to see yourself feel free of all the things that you've learned to live with, all the things that we've learned to believe as just part of the human experience. The kingdom of heaven is at hand, Jesus said. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Paramahansa Yogananda tells us self-realization is the knowing in all parts of body, mind, and soul that you are in possession of the kingdom of God. What is the kingdom of God? It's intelligence and power and spirit. That you do not have to pray that it come to you. That God's omnipresence is your omnipresence. And that all that you need to do is improve your knowing. Improve your knowing. Excuse me. So let's begin to understand what this presence of God is. Jesus said the Father is spirit. He didn't say the Father is a spirit, or the Father is one of many spirits. He said the Father is spirit. That spirit of life that's within each and every one of us. The Father is spirit. Spirit is the great unseen. Spirit is a power. Spirit. A power like gravity that we can't see, but we know and we trust that gravity is always present and gravity always works for everyone in the very same way. That gravity is impersonal to us. We could be the greatest king in the world, and gravity will still do to us what gravity will do to the person that considers themselves to be the lowliest, although there is no lowliest in the kingdom of God. We must never get that into our head. So let's just imagine what it would be like to live in a world where we all understood that we are already living in the kingdom of God. We're already living in the promised land, that we're here. And we're here to enjoy it. We're here to live it. We're here to experience it in the most wonderful, wonderful way. This kingdom of heaven is the center of consciousness. The kingdom of heaven is the place of utter calm and serenity within the depths of your soul, where your eye, that eye of you, becomes fused with the immortal eye of all creation, that great I am. It is the place where you no longer are the doer, but instead become fused with the observer, the great contemplator, at the place where there is not for you to do, but choose and accept, where whatever it is so chosen and so accepted becomes manifest in the physical world about you. The physical world about you. Think about those words. Think about what these great teachers are trying to tell us. So much of it.